Chapter 24-25 The Great Cataclysm 1. The way to increase power is never through continuous evolution as you might think, but rather through the most direct method, absorbing power itself. Absorbing the essence of otherworldly beings is a shortcut to evolution. It can infinitely raise the upper limit of your power. Even a powerful race like the Druk gods must use this method to continuously devour fragments of ether from other human races to enhance themselves. However, this is equivalent to enhancing potential rather than the best and fastest way to directly make oneself stronger. In the past, you did not understand the true meaning of power transformation, so you mistakenly believed that evolution was the only way. This is actually a misconception. She paused, her gaze fixed on Zhang Yi, filled with a mixture of approval and admiration. But this detour is not necessarily a bad thing. Through continuous evolution, you have solidified your foundation, stabilized your bodies and spirits, making you more resilient than many races that only know how to plunder power. Only with such a foundation will you be qualified to bear higher-level power in the future. Zhang Yi remained silent, but a huge wave of emotions surged within him. Indeed, since the end of the world, they have been devouring the essence of the superhumans in order to evolve, always believing that this is the only way to become stronger. But now I understand that the real core is not evolution, but the transformation and absorption of power. Evolution is merely a result, not the only method. King Arthur, Saladin, and Benjamin Morgan, among others, also fell into deep thought. Brian murmured, "So that's how it is. No wonder many alien races can grow their strength rapidly in a short period of time, while we always feel that our evolution is too slow." The first Black Moon priest explained with great patience, like a teacher instructing a bewildered student. She continued, "In our Dark Moon heritage, there are two main paths to enhance one's abilities. One way is to use meditation to mobilize the energy diffused throughout the universe and gradually nourish oneself. This is a slow and steady path that is suitable for the vast majority of people. Secondly, there is the extreme path that special ability users excel at. They can directly devour matter, energy, and even concepts in the universe and refine them for their own use. This path is extremely risky, but if successful, they can often reach the pinnacle in a short period of time." In Zhang Yi's mind, the image of the centipede absorbing energy crystals and generating supernatural power resurfaced. He finally had a concrete understanding of superpowers. The universe was originally empty, and humans and everything visible to the naked eye are outsiders. It is the condensed power of the Creator, Kagago. Therefore, the stars in the universe, mountains and rivers, plants and trees, and even the clothes they wear are all forms of power. From a molecular perspective, each molecule is formed by the interaction of forces. The essence of molecules is the power of nothingness. If Zhang Yi possessed a stomach capable of dissolving everything, he could convert even a clod of dirt into his own energy. No wonder, no wonder. In that case, everything makes sense. Why is it that, according to legend, the Drucker clan can devour anything, even soil? That's not pika. It's that energy conversion has been elevated to an extremely terrifying level. At this point, the first Black Moon priest's voice carried a heavy and warning tone. But you must understand that devouring is not without its price. If your foundation is not solid, if your mind is not firm, you will eventually be devoured by the power you have devoured and become a slave to that power. Xianyu Fei Ming is the best example. She tried to devour Samuel's power, but ended up becoming a vessel for that power and completely losing herself. Zhang Yi slowly exhaled and said in a low voice, "Devour, transform, meditate, or directly plunder." "I see." Yang Xinxin said softly, "So, the path we took before was actually treating evolution as the only way out, while neglecting the essential flow of power. Fortunately, we didn't just plunder, but also focused on developing our own potential." Her eyes held a dark and unfathomable expression as she silently exchanged a glance with Zhang Yi. Zhang Yi and Yang Xinxin had already developed a tacit understanding, and he immediately thought of meditation. Thus, Wang Yongming's The Philosophy of Mind resurfaced in his mind. This sage, who awakened his extraordinary abilities on his own hundreds of years ago through his observation and understanding of the world, has reached such a profound level of understanding of the universe. Even in that era, Wang Yongming, who was able to immerse himself in the study of the way of heaven, was far ahead of his time in the technological age. The excessive development of technology can cause people to neglect the pursuit of their inner selves. This is also the source of the tragedy of the Songyuan clan. The first Black Moon priest looked at Yang Xinshin and smiled with satisfaction. That's right. You may have taken a detour, but it was precisely this detour that built your incredibly solid foundation today. If you are to truly bear higher-order cosmic laws in the future, you'll be more qualified than any other race. Zhang Yi pondered for a moment, then suddenly raised his head, his eyes sincere and resolute. In that case, please teach us the method of meditation. The Black Moon priests nodded, and the first Black Moon priest slowly extended her hand. Black moonlight appeared in her palm, transforming into a talisman that slowly floated in front of everyone. This is the meditation method of us Black Moon priests. Using the moon as a guide and the heart as a boat, we sink into the ocean of power and draw upon the source of the universe. Her voice was deep and solemn, as if carrying a vow. Remember, power is everywhere. Stars are power, flesh and blood are power, and emotions are power. If you can control its flow, you can embark on the true path of the strong with every breath. Zhang Yi raised his head, and the radiance of the talisman shone down, instantly flooding his mind with a vast ocean of knowledge. Everyone present, including those inside Zhang Yi's shadow, also accepted this knowledge. Soon, a sharp glint flashed in Zhang Yi's eyes. At that moment, he realized that the path he and his companions were walking had only just truly begun. All the humans present fell into a long silence. Even King Arthur and Saladin, who had experienced countless battlefields and were used to life, death, and despair, showed an unprecedented shock and shame in their eyes. They always believed that humanity was the only strong group capable of competing with other races after the apocalypse, and the center of this era. Only now do they realize that in the true realm of superpowers, they are as ignorant as unenlightened apes. Their so-called cultivation and evolution are nothing more than accidental results of their exploration. Having abandoned the truths of devouring and power transformation, the path they take is primitive, clumsy, and incomplete. Chapter 24-26 The Great Cataclysm 2. In gratitude for everyone's help, the Black Moon priests selflessly passed on their meditation techniques, accumulated over millions of years, to the Earthlings. After contemplating with his eyes closed for a long time, King Arthur couldn't help but grit his teeth and whisper, "It turns out that the path we've been on all along was wrong. No, it can't be called wrong, it's just that it was too primitive." Saladin's eyes flickered with confusion and complexity. No wonder we always felt there was some inexplicable gap between us and those other races. It turns out we thought we were smart, but we were just frogs in a well. Professor Leonardo da Vinci, usually so carefree, was unusually serious at this moment. A deep light shone in his dead fish eyes as he muttered to himself. Science, evolution, devouring, transformation, we are merely groping for the truth of the world in a blind manner. King Arthur let out a long breath, looking at Zhang Yi and the Black Moon priests with a complex mix of shame and awe. He spoke slowly, his voice heavy as a mountain. Humans are truly too ignorant. Benjamin Morgan bowed his head, his hands slowly clenching into fists. He, who had always been incredibly confident, now had to admit, even we warriors, who are called legends, are nothing more than struggling in delusion. The first Black Moon priest looked at them, his eyes showing no contempt, but rather a hint of pity and depth. She spoke slowly, her voice low and carrying an undeniable authority. "You must remember, the time left for you is running out." Everyone was startled and looked up at her. A sense of unease crept into Zhang Yi's heart. He probably guessed something. In just 2 short years, He witnessed Mammon breaking free from his seal and Samuel's seal developing cracks. This is no coincidence. There is never any chance in this world. There is only inevitability and deliberate human action. This is not a good sign. An even greater crisis is on the horizon. Once the restrictions imposed on ancient civilizations in this world are lifted, those races lurking beneath the earth and above the stars will emerge like a tidal wave. With the current strength of Earth's humans, are they capable of handling this? Even Zhang-Yi, whose strength has greatly increased, can't help but start to worry. The first Black Moon priest slowly said, "The ancient demon gods are gradually awakening from their slumber. Samuel is just one of them. His seal can still be maintained with difficulty, but the seals in other places are shaking. Mammon, Belial, Leviathan, Lucifer, the resurgence of each demon god will bring about the collapse of an era. Do you think today's tragedy is the limit? No, that is only the prologue to the future." Her gaze swept over Zhang-Yi, King Arthur, Saladin, Yang Xinxin, and the others, her voice like a resounding bell, echoing in their hearts. The catastrophe of this era is imminent. You so-called sixth-generation humans are nothing but newborn children, yet you have already been drawn into the true war of the abyss. She paused, then slowly raised her hands, pointing to the sky, her voice growing increasingly heavy. The reason why the material world can still be maintained is because the creator, Kagago, left you with rules to protect you. That is both protection and confinement. It is this rule that protected you, preventing you from being destroyed by the more powerful and ferocious ancient civilizations at an early age. But rules don't last forever. The voice of the first Black Moon priest echoed through the valley, as if the entire world was trembling. The protection left behind by Kagago is crumbling. When the rules completely disappear, the material world will be exposed once again to the primordial chaos and violent energy torrents. At that time, the entire Earth will face a cataclysm you cannot even imagine. The air suddenly became heavy, and everyone's heartbeats seemed to stop for a moment. Beside Zhang-Yi, Zhou Ke's pretty face was pale. She couldn't help but grab his hand and whisper, "An unimaginable catastrophe. What exactly could it be?" The first Black Moon priest calmly gazed at her, his eyes like an abyss, his voice carrying an irresistible pressure. That would be devastating. Once the ancient races that harbor ill towards you appear, mountains and rivers will be overturned, oceans will burn, skies will shatter, and everything will be reduced to ashes in an instant. You think you can control the power, but you are just barely surviving under the rule. When the protection completely disappears, you will be swallowed up even when you breathe. Not every civilization is like the Lunarians. They won't fight the Earthlings because they have already left the Earth's surface and have access to the moon, a perfect resource point. Moreover, since they were not directly created by the creator Kagago, they were subject to the fewest rules. To put it another way, if Zhang-Yi and his group were primitive humans, then the moon people would be like artificial humans created by primitive humans. Their missions are different. Although they are called the fourth generation of humans, they only live in the same era as the fourth generation. However, one day, the limitations of the universe will be lifted. Those ancient civilizations underground that can freely emerge on the surface will inevitably cause friction with them. The repeated attacks by the Wulwan Empire on the Huashu Kingdom are a prime example. Zhang Yi's expression turned solemn, and a chilling premonition welled up in his heart. He spoke slowly. "So, you are warning us to become stronger before the rules completely disappear." The first Black Moon priest's gaze fell upon him, and he slowly nodded. "That's right. You must learn the true path of power, no longer relying on illusory evolution, no longer clinging to external things, but facing the essence of power directly. Only in this way can you have a chance of survival when the great cataclysm comes. Remember, don't expect anyone to save you. You must learn to protect yourselves." Her last words resonated like a thunderclap in everyone's hearts. King Arthur, Saladin, Brian, Yang Xinxin, Zhou Ke, Fatty Su, Professor Da Vinci, Everyone wore solemn expressions at this moment, a suppressed and heavy flame igniting within them. They finally understood that the so-called apocalypse was just the beginning, and the real test had only just begun. His gaze remained fixed on the first Black Moon Priestess, the leader among the Black Moon Priests, who possessed unimaginable wisdom and power. Zhang Yi spoke calmly, breaking the deathly silence. "High Priest, do you know what the Day of Fall means?" Zhang Yi had seen this term in the relics of many civilizations. This seems to be related to the end of the world, and it is very likely that the survival of the sixth generation of humans will also be closely related to it. If they could know in advance how the sixth generation's doomsday would come, they could prepare accordingly. Chapter 24-27, The Great Cataclysm, 3. I gleaned some information from ancient civilization stone tablets. This word seems to relate to some kind of great disaster, even foreshadowing the end of the world. The first Black Moon Priestess lowered her head, lost in thought. After a moment of silence, she raised her deep eyes. The Day of Fall. This is a prophecy from an ancient civilization. I have never heard of it before. Her voice carried a hint of helplessness, but was also filled with some unspeakable depth. Such prophecies often stem from the fears and premonitions of other civilizations and do not belong to the historical memory of us Black Moon Priests. Her words revealed a faint indifference, a calmness accumulated over countless years. Zhang Yi nodded slightly, but his doubts grew stronger. Clearly, she was unaware of the truth, which made him even more confused about the truth of the Day of Fall. He then asked, "Why did that ancient race appear and attack us sixth-generation humans?" The information I have suggests that their arrival was not accidental. I used to think they wanted to get the surface of the Earth because there was plenty of sunlight and resources there. But as I gradually learned about ancient history, I discovered that many of them had already developed artificial suns. Moreover, in terms of resources, they were even more abundant than us humans on Earth. Then, what is your purpose in fighting us so hard? Zhang Yi asked one of his biggest questions. The Wulwan Empire was willing to risk provoking the dragon race in order to attack the land of Huashu Kingdom. Is it really just to obtain that frozen continent? An unusual glint flashed in the first Black Moon Priestess's eyes. Her expression remained calm, but her tone carried a hint of heaviness. The attacks by the ancient races are indeed as you said. They were not only targeting you, the sixth generation of humans. Her voice suddenly lowered, as if she were revealing some extremely important secret. Their goal is actually to eliminate the existence of the sixth generation of humans in order to make room for the future protagonists, the seventh generation of humans. Zhang Yi frowned, his heart filled with turmoil. The seventh generation of humans? Did the creator consider the sixth generation of humans to be a failed experiment, and therefore decide to create entirely new observers? King Arthur and the others also showed solemn expressions upon receiving this information. Did the creator choose to destroy the world because he thought we were cruel or stupid? This is not uncommon in ancient myths and legends. It's like building a terrible snowman, then tearing it down because you're not satisfied, and then rebuilding it. Zhang Yi was eager to know more, so he pressed on with the question. The seventh generation of humans? What's the difference between them and us, the sixth generation of humans? Why would an ancient race choose to appear at this time? The first Black Moon Priestess's expression turned solemn. She took a deep breath, as if to explain the matter more clearly. You sixth generation humans, as beings created by the Creator, have reached your limits. Your power and wisdom have reached their peak, and you can no longer evolve. But you don't need to be surprised, because on Earth, generations of humans have been replaced in this way. Some perished due to the dissatisfaction of the Creator, and some perished due to the devouring by the Druckers. The emergence of the seventh generation of humans is inevitable. It is a new plan of the Creator, designed to restart the chain of evolution in this new era of the universe. Her voice began to grow low and mysterious. I suspect that the seventh generation of humans will be an even more powerful being, possessing abilities far exceeding those of the sixth generation. They might be as perfect as the Ihen race and then be able to completely solve the Druk people's bug. Therefore, the appearance of the ancient race is to break the rule of the 6th generation of humans and make the birth of the 7th generation of humans possible. Upon hearing this, Zhang Yi felt a surge of emotions. All of this seemed so complicated, as if it were some kind of predetermined fate, something that could not be avoided. Countless questions swirled in his mind, but he could only continue to press on. So, are we, the 6th generation of humans, destined to be replaced? Is our existence really that unimportant? The first Black Moon priest did not answer immediately, but remained silent for a moment, as if considering how to describe this despairing fact. Your existence is not meaningless. Your efforts and struggles are paving the way for the 7th generation of humanity. The power and wisdom you have accumulated will ultimately become the driving force for the evolution of the universe. The 7th generation of humans is the new force in this world, and their birth will change everything. Zhang Yi felt an immense sense of oppression coming from all directions, as if the entire universe was pressing down on him, making him feel suffocated. He remained silent for a moment, then turned his gaze to the distant sky, and the question resurfaced in his mind. What should he choose? Is it to accept this fate, follow the Creator's arrangement, and become the stepping stone for the 7th generation of humanity, or to choose to fight against all of this and change this predetermined future? He spoke slowly, his voice cold and resolute. I don't care about the arrangements of these ancient races, nor do I care about your so-called 7th generation of humans. All I know is that I want to live. I want to protect my family, protect the people I love, and live freely and meaningfully. Even the Creator cannot easily erase my existence. What Drucker can do, I, Zhang Yi, may also be able to do. The first Black Moon priest was unsurprised, and simply smiled slightly. Your attitude is very interesting, and your existence has shown us different possibilities. Perhaps this is related to the Drucker gene sequence in the bodies of your 6 generations. Her eyes revealed a complex emotion, which seemed to be a kind of approval, but also a kind of helplessness. And what about you? Zhang Yi finally asked the question that had been lingering in his mind. How exactly do you Black Moon priests view this impending catastrophe? What is your attitude towards this catastrophe that marks the transition of eras? A cold glint flashed in the first Black Moon priestess's eyes. Her deep gaze fixed on Zhang Yi, as if trying to see into his very soul. We, the Black Moon priests, have always lived in the shadow of the universe. We were not created by Kaga, and we have betrayed our Creator. So now, our only meaning of existence is existence itself. As for catastrophes, it's all part of the universe's self-repair process. We are not the forces that change the world. We are merely observers, witnessing everything unfold. Dear viewers, thanks for staying with me. We'll try to get you more updates. Please like and subscribe and share the video with your friends. Love you.